All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. As we indicated, we are taking on our conversation on the Anambra governorship election, holding in 48 hours. We started the conversation on Tuesday, and we had another guest, of course, an analyst yesterday. Today, we are having guests joining us again from Anambra. Via Zoom this time, we have Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe is of the Andy Uba Campaign Council. And of course, Andy Uba is the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. Now, Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, who is standing in for him as a member of the Campaign Council, is a two-term member of the House of Representatives and Nigeria's former ambassador to Austria, Slovakia as well. You can see him there on the screen, and also via Zoom from Oka, that's the Anambra State Capital. It's a regular guest on Good Morning Nigeria when we are discussing electoral matters. That's Cynthia Umbamalu. She's Programs Director of Yaga Africa. Cynthia, pleasure to have you with us this morning, and Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, pleasure to also have you with us this morning from Oka, both of you via Zoom.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. Thanks a lot. And then here with us in the Abuja studios, would like to once again welcome Dr. Enes Ereke. He was with us on Tuesday when we had the first leg of the conversation. Ereke is of the Political Science Department at the University of Abuja. Dr. Ereke, it's our pleasure to have you. And of course, we do sympathize with you and your colleagues. We know that there's a great deal of tension and anxiety in and around your campus on account of the kidnapping incident that took place a couple of days ago. Dr. Ereke, welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's begin with Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, who is sitting in for Andy Uba, candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Saturday's election. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, well, one of the issues we've often talked about has to do with the unusual campaign strategies adopted by the candidates on account of what we all know, the level of insecurity in Anambra itself. But now, today being the final day of campaigns, what is your wrap-up in terms of how it has been and therefore your messaging to the electorate?
Well, once again, good morning, Nigeria. I would say that it's been an uphill task. It's been a difficult one. We have run elections before. If you remember, in 2007, Andy Uba, contested and won this election. And comparing what is there now with what happened in 2007, it is like night and day. Every day as you run around, you hear that unknown gunmen, had killed or had murdered or had attacked somewhere, maybe a few minutes after you pass through the place. So it was a difficult one. However, I must say that people in Anambra State are interested in this election. They are enthusiastic. Unfortunately, what is happening, but, we have been on campaign, for the past how many months, and we are seeing people excited to have a new government in Anambra State. As you're aware, APGA has been here for the past 16 years, and it's such a good one for APC, that people are looking at the APC candidate. I've heard people say that if there was anything like independent candidacy in Nigeria, that Andy Uba is one of the persons that will go as an independent candidate in Anambra and win convincingly. And you keep wondering, why do people think so? The first is that Senator Andy Uba, everybody knows, was estate to President Olusegun Obasanjo for 8 years. And after that, he went to the Senate for another 8 years. And the issue of leadership, particularly governance in Anambra State, we have had a situation where in almost every occasion, you have people come to Anambra State to learn on the job. But this is one of those, where the candidate in question is already groomed, is already grounded, is already familiar with what is happening in Anambra State, that he will hit the ground running. And I must say at this point that what is going for Senator Andiuba is one, his experience in leadership and governance. Two, the fact that he had stated categorically that Anambra State is not a place he can run alone. And that is why he has a name. They call him Igwebike. Igwebike means there is strength in numbers, which means that he has decided that as soon as he takes over, he's going to set up a team, a crack team, that will take Anambra to the highest height Anambra should be. As you are aware, Anambra, is not where it should be. And because of that, Andy came into APC, and it looked like there's a mass exodus from other parties. As you are aware, a senator of PDP had moved into APC. Members of the House of Representatives from PDP have moved into APC, from APGA have moved into APC. Right now, 10 members of the House of Assembly have moved into APC. And the last time we were, on campaign, one of the ladies got up and immediately composed a song. And that song says, "There is something that makes me come into APC." And let me sing it for you. There is something that makes me come into APC, and APC, APC, and There is something that makes me come into APC, and This is basically what has been happening in Anambra State, and we're excited that Andy will hit the ground running.
Thank you very much. I do hope that some persons would not regard that in the sense as being blasphemous, because that's a very popular chorus that you have said. There's something that makes me come into your presence by and by. But of course, this is the essence of politics. We would just wish that, it had been sweet all along, and that the unknown gunmen had not disturbed the peace of Anambra. But Ambassador Jerry Ogokwe, tell us something.
Yes.
Tell us something. What for Andiuba are the issues in this election? And how have you tried to capture these issues, and what has been the reaction from the electorate?
I think the number one issue, without a doubt, is security. Security, security, security. Because without Anambra being secured, Anambra cannot progress. Well, Andiuba has set out a 10-point program. Number one in that program is security. Why is security important? If you were here on Monday, you will be sorry for people of Anambra State. You find that the markets are deserted. Poor women who sell, simple provisions to feed their families, people who go to daily work and get paid daily, are, stopped from doing what they do to feed their family. I'll give you one typical example. Some weeks ago, when the issue of sit at home was quite, high, there was a particular man. His job is to drive keke napep. And that morning, he was so hungry, he couldn't feed his family. And he said, look, I'm going to go out there and, do my keke walk. Even if it is 1,000 naira that I make, I'll be able to feed my family. Guess what? That guy went out, and a few minutes after, unknown gunmen, took his life. That was how he ended. And the family is in poverty, in abject poverty up till today. So if without security, I don't think we can even talk about anything. Again, beyond security, or rather, you remember that when Masop was on top of their game, Andy Ba was one of the only persons that went to the correctional center and met with Mr. Wazirike. So Andy Ba believes that if given the opportunity again to become governor of Anambra State, that he would tackle security head on. He would, employ so many tactics, if you will, or tactics, to be able to tackle security. Number one is that there must be dialogue across.
Ambassador Jerry Gokwe, but we observed that there is a freeze there on the connection. Cynthia Umbamalo, if she's okay with Zoom, we might as well bring her in to the conversation right now. Cynthia, well, good to see you. I mean, you're looking so well that it's unlikely to be a footage coming out of Anambra on the basis of the kind of reports that we get to hear. But tell us, what is the mood like on the eve of elections in Anambra?
Thank you and good morning, Nigeria. Like you said, sometimes when you're not on ground, if you're watching the news from outside, there's a likelihood to think that there is nothing moving in the state because all you're seeing is the news. But thankfully, Yaga Africa is watching the votes. We've been in Anambra. We've been in Anambra for almost 2 weeks now, and we actually had to deploy to the local government areas to train our observers. So the observers were trained in their communities because we recruited from the polling unit areas. And yes, there are security challenges and threats. However, we've seen in these past couple of days, we've seen political parties able to conduct their campaigns in open spaces. In fact, there was one of the campaign centers in Onitsha South where a church was used, the church venue. And interestingly, it was like the church had rented it to all the parties because different parties had their scheduled time to conduct their their campaigns there. So far, there seems to be some hope that citizens are interested in participating. They are looking forward to engage the process on Saturday. However, that participation is dependent on several factors, and I believe there are three major factors. I think one of that is the ability of the security agencies to inspire confidence in the people, that their deployment is to secure the people and not to create any sort of fear. So it's also about the conduct of the security in this process. I think that ability of the security to engage this next couple of hours to inspire the citizens would be very critical. The second is INEC's work. So for instance, the PVC collection just started this week. That's for the new registrants, the over 70,000 that registered in the ongoing CVR process. And we want to believe that INEC will leverage existing platforms to call on eligible voters to come out and get their PVCs so that they'll be ready to participate. But not just that, INEC's ability to work to ensure its logistics plan is top-notch, and that at this time around, things like early deployment to be achieved. If you remember Anambra in 2017, we had Awka South and North, where as at 10 a.m., the process had not started across different governments. So there was late commencement in 2017. We're hoping that this time around, we wouldn't have that challenge because once logistics is properly handled and citizens are aware that INEC is properly deployed, it would also inspire confidence for the people to come out to vote. And I think the third is the role of the political parties, the candidates. The candidates have had challenges with campaigns previously, but the people will be inspired when they see the candidates actively engaging.
All right, Cynthia, we'll have to cut away from you in the meantime. There's some audio interference in your signal. Let's come to Dr. Ernest Ereke. Dr. Ernest Ereke, let's begin from the point that Cynthia made. That's to say that unless you are in situ, sometimes you might not have a better appreciation of a situation. That's to say that I'm not saying that the media tends to exaggerate, but she's telling us that, look, things aren't the way outsiders just might perceive it. They've been on ground for the past 2 weeks. And in the lead up now to the elections, there would appear to be intensity in the campaigns of the candidates, even though officially ending today. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's a first-hand information we are getting from somebody who is on ground there in Anambra State. For those of us who are not in Anambra, what we have been hearing is so discouraging that you would feel that nobody will turn out on Saturday to cast, votes in the elections. But hearing from Cynthia, who has been on ground for 2 weeks now, as she said, it inspires some level of hope and confidence that indeed people will come out, to vote in the elections. And as she said, it is usually the case when you are not there. What you get from the media is what you use to to do your analysis, and also that is what you run with. But hearing from someone who is involved in the process, hearing from someone who is also moving around within the state, because they are also training observers in different local governments and in different parts of the state. For hearing from her that they are indeed moving around, they are indeed conducting the trainings and other activities leading up to the election, shows that indeed people will likely turn out for the elections. And it also shows that for observer groups like Yaga Africa's Watching the Vote to be able to conduct their activities leading to the election, it means that the security agencies have also, tried to tame the tide of insecurity in the state in order to inspire the level of confidence that the people will need in order to go out on Saturday to vote in the election. So I think we must also commend the security agencies for being able, to control the situation there.
All right, Dr. Reke, thank you very much. Let's return to Oka via Zoom. To Cynthia. Cynthia, you were in full flight when we had to cut away from you because of the audio issues. If you could just let us more into the situation report on the eve of the election, the access that you've had, and so on and so forth. But there's a point I would like you to also speak to. Now, we saw the counterproductive nature of the proliferation of security agencies in some of the elections, off-cycle elections that we have had. Ekiti was one example. How are the people responding to the tens of thousands of security personnel who have been deployed for this election? Is it likely to be counterproductive, or is it inspiring confidence?
That is dependent on the conduct of the security personnel. So for instance, over the weekend, when we were in some of the communities, some of the citizens there were a bit apprehensive. So for them, we've been having, someone said, so we've been having these challenges for the past couple of months, and we didn't see this level of security deployment. So why now? Why do we have this level of deployment? So and that is normal for citizens to react that way when you just wake up and you see, both the military, the police, they are coming in their numbers with their equipment, fully armed, and that in itself creates that level of fear, because ordinarily the average Nigerian has a huge trust deficit when it comes to engaging security personnel. So the mistrust is there already. However, there are several factors that need to be considered. The fact that for off-cycle elections, this is usually the level of deployment that is done because it's just one election going on at one time. What is required now is that the security personnel conduct themselves professionally, because once they are professional, citizens will understand that they are here to secure us. They act civilly and ensure that their procedure is conducted in every respect, promoting fundamental rights, so that the rights of the people are not threatened by their presence in the state. The other thing is coordination, because there's a likelihood for, when there's no proper coordination, for a lot of conflicts between the agencies. We've seen that happen between the army and the police, where at some point you're not sure who is in charge. And I think for elections, the law is clear. The Nigerian police plays the coordinating role. And thankfully, the ICES has been meeting, the Interconsultative Committee on Election Security, they've been meeting. INEC is part of that. It's co-chaired by INEC and the police to ensure proper coordination. We want to believe that that level, that decision at that upper level actually trickles down to the officers in the field, so that once they are properly coordinated, we would avoid the conflicts we've seen previously. And I think, lastly, the security agencies actually have a role to engage the people. They usually avoid this, which is going on media platforms, radio, television, to actually share their deployment plan and engage the people to inspire confidence. That level of communication would also encourage the people that, yeah, we are not here against you. We are rather here to secure lives and property and ensure that you're safe to participate. So we need to see that level of coordination, professionalism, respect of fundamental human rights, and the ability to engage the people in the next hours to the elections. I heard at the stakeholders meeting yesterday, the IG of police, as usual, read their riot act. But one of the things we're also expecting is, beyond just giving out and pushing out the threat that we are here to secure and we cannot take into consideration what miscreants will do. One of the things I was hoping to hear from the IG of police is, Anambra people, come out and vote in peace. We are here for you. Because if you read the riot act and they don't talk to the citizens in the language that they would appreciate and love, it also stops at just we are here to fight and to do away with the enemies of democracy, if you want to put it that way. So I also wish and hope that the Nigerian police, in the next couple of weeks, the communication is not just about we are here to destroy and get rid of every possible threat, but also we are here to secure your lives and property. Have confidence, come out and vote. That is what Nigerians want to hear in Anambra State. They believe that if the police actually guarantees their safety, then they would come out to vote.
Well, Cynthia, thanks a lot there. One of the last points you just made has to do with communicating effectively to an electorate. It's not just sufficient to say we will secure the environment. If you secure the environment and voters get too afraid to come out, then the security and the cost deployed will, of course, have been in vain. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, if we're still there via Zoom, Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, there's something I would like you to speak to on behalf of your candidate. What is he going to do differently to ramp up not just the potential of Anambra as an economic hub in the southeast, but of course in the nation? Because when you look at viable states, whenever they are being ticked off, you often will hear Lagos being the top, rivers coming up, Kano. Anambra is often not there. And we know that there is a lot of wealth that is buried in Anambra. There's a lot of entrepreneurial energy also buried there, commerce in Onitsha, and industrial activities in Nnewi axis. What is it your candidate is planning to do differently if elected on Saturday?
Thank you so very much. I think the question you asked is a very important one. Andy Uba, has stated clearly that as the governor, he is going to create an environment that will be conducive for the great sons and daughters of Anambra State to come back to Anambra and invest. We are scattered all over the world, literally. And back home is because the environment had not been so created to bring them back. One of the things he says he would do is that there would be, he's already working on collating names and, numbers and contacts of great Anambra sons and daughters, because we believe that Anambra State should be miles ahead of where it is today. There is the hub in Onitsha, which is, one of the biggest markets in West Africa. There is Nnewi, and the rest, and many other places like that. So what he intends to do is to create hubs. There would be IT hubs. There would be industrial hubs. And we are already discussing, with great sons and daughters of Anambra State. And what consistently they have told us is that if the environment is right, they will return. They will come back and begin to invest in their home state. Many of them, are unhappy that it's only when they retire that they end up in Anambra State. And this will definitely stop. We will, under Andy Uba's administration, by the grace of God, when we win on Saturday, we are going to create an environment that will be so attractive. Lagos is attractive because all the necessary ingredients of success of any industry, of any enterprise, is there for you just for the asking. We are going to provide land because in the first place, if manufacturers don't have lands where they will build their industry, where they will build their manufacturing facilities, they will not come. We will make it very easy for them to be able to get land, to get their CFOs, to begin direct investments, and we're also going as much as possible to liaise with our sons and daughters who are in the National Assembly, who are in the executive, so that whatever that is needed from the federal government or from, by law of the National Assembly will be created so that the environment, when you come to Anambra, you will be at home again and be able to invest. We have seen this in Lagos, and that is why Lagos is thriving. And I do not see why I cannot settle home in Anambra State and have one of the biggest industries, in Nigeria. It's just because leadership had not created those opportunities, and that's what Andy wants to do. You must, you must walk the walk and talk the talk. That's what Andy has decided that he's going to do. And again, because Andy has the reach. When I mean the reach, because he has worked, with the presidency, he has worked overseas, he has been in the Senate, he should be able to reach out to people and extend hand of fellowship, to others who are not even from Anambra State in order to make Anambra State work.
Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, one of the embarrassing stories out of Anambra years past had to do with the non-payment of teachers' salaries. And I think on one occasion, teachers were owed over 12 months of their salaries, and workers' welfare had also been an issue. How does your candidate intend to erase such unpleasant memories and create a new dawn for workers, in particular teachers?
Well, I'll give you one typical example of how to erase that, which Andy has said and said consistently. Do you know that in the past 16 years, Anambra State had not conducted local government elections? You know what it means? That what has been happening in Anambra is that caretaker committees have been created in local governments, and what happens is the government will receive federal allocations from the federal government, and then what you see is, the local governments are given just their salaries. I'll give you one example. There's one of the states, one of the local governments close by. Their allocation comes up to about 200 and something million. At every time monies are released per month, they get about 5-10 million to pay their salaries, and the rest of the money, they do not have control. They do not know what those monies are made of. So Andy Uba has said, as soon as he is elected governor, within the first 6 months, he is going to conduct local government elections. That will be a radical change from the past. For the past 16 years, no elected local government chairman, councillors, and what have you. Within the first 6 months, Andy will cause that local government elections be held. And when you have things like that, it gives you opportunities to raise IGR. Andy has said how you plug all loopholes, because Anambra State can raise enough money. We have a lot of activities going on that if the monies that are collected from people or taxes and levies and dues are properly utilized, we cannot be talking about paying salaries of workers. It's because there are leakages. And Andy has said as soon as he takes over power, he would, immediately institute, opportunities and processes that will close permanently loopholes where these monies go. I am aware that if all the IGRs that are raised in Anambra are properly employed or deployed, we cannot be talking about not paying salaries of teachers. And this is what Andy intends to do. And once he does that, you have local governments who are responsible, to, when they collect money, pay salaries of their tiers of government and the teachers that are, under them. We will not be talking about owing teacher salaries. And that would be history that we will never want to remember again.
Ambassador Jerry Ogokwe, thank you very much. Just before I bring in Dr. Ernest Tereke, it's heartwarming that your candidate is proposing to conduct local government elections within 6 months of his assumption of office if he wins the election on Saturday. But we also have witnessed, at least since 1999, a situation where for local government elections where they are purportedly conducted, governors are alleged to sometimes draw up or ratify the list of candidates, and it is those candidates that they sanction that then become the winners of the election. In other words, governors are alleged to handpick the candidates who become chairmen who owe their allegiance to the governor. Same thing we find with the House of Assembly in a number of states, which is why some have argued that that arm of government at the subnational level is prostrate. All of this has led to the emperor syndrome about governors. If your candidate wins, will it be the next emperor on the block?
Absolutely not. I can say that without a doubt. Because, emperors are created when you don't have a team. Emperors are created when you win governorship and then you are a stand-alone. Andy has said that he will not be just the only person governing Anambra State. He's going to set up a crack team. And if some of us are in that team, we cannot be sitting there and we have emperors running Anambra State. Andy has given his commitment that he will assemble the best. I mean, Anambra has some of the most educated, some of the most impressive, if you will, and he's going to put them together, both those who are in diaspora and those who are local. We're going to bring all of them together. Listen, each time I walk around Anambra, I weep, because we can't go out and see our people doing so well outside Anambra, and then you come home. Anambra is just a glorified local government, if you will. And Andy has said that this will stop. This will stop. There is, the emperor syndrome is not going to happen under his administration. He's committed to that. And that is why in his team of the people who are working with him right now, you find that it cuts across all strata of Anambra State. So that at the end of the day, people will own this leadership. It is not a one-man army. It is going to be, that is why, like I said, his name is Igwebike, meaning that, as a group, we can determine, what will happen to us in a manner that will be the right thing to do. It only says, in English, that if you walk alone, you may walk faster, but if you walk together, you will walk longer. We want a situation where Anambra, from now on, will develop the potentials. We've been talking about potentials. We need to develop this potential. We need to see it. Some of us are sad. We are from Anambra State, and our children are growing up, outside Anambra State, and when they come home, they can't even spend a night or two. They run away. That is not supposed to be for Anambra State. Anambra State should be one of the best states in Nigeria, period. And that's what Andy Uba intends to do. And we will stand by him. We will work with him. We will make sure that Anambra State is, I would want to say that in the next 3 years, I would want to invite you to Anambra State and what we are saying today, you will say to me, Jerry, it looks like you're a prophet. But it's not about prophecy. It is about action. It is about doing what it takes. It's not about sitting and praying all night or doing whatever it takes. But it is just putting your foot on the ground and saying the right thing must be done. We are ready to do it. We will take a rightful place in history, and we will leave a legacy for children coming behind us. That's what we're determined to do. It is not about talk. It is not about long grammar. We are determined. We are angry. Let me put it that way. We are angry that Anambra is at the level where it is today, and some of us cannot take it any longer. That's why we're asking people to come out in the next 2 days on Saturday and vote APC. Vote APC. Vote Anambra. The important thing is that the person you are voting for is a veteran, is somebody who is ready, who has collated people who are ready to make Anambra great. Anambra must be great starting from November 6th, starting from Saturday. If you vote in Anambra, I guarantee you that Anambra will never be the same again. Some of us are ready to commit our last sweat to make sure that Anambra gets to where it should be. That's what we're talking about.
Ambassador Prophet Jerry Ogokwe, thank you very much there for your contribution. We're going to have to pause you and then get back to the other guests here in the Abuja studios. Dr. Ernest Tereke. Dr. Ernest Tereke, I've been interested in listening to Ambassador Jerry Ogokwe speak on behalf of candidate Andy Uba. You were with us on Tuesday. Of course, you were not here yesterday. Rafsanjani was here with us. It isn't as if there is a lack of issues in the Anambra election, but it's turned out that the primary concern, has been with security. But there are key issues, and it would appear that some of the 18 candidates have a good grasp of these issues, but can they connect with the electorate and convert that into votes?
Exactly the issue, because I was just going to say that having listened to the candidates and having listened to Ambassador Ogokwe on behalf of Andy Uba, Ambassador Jerry has spoken so very well and shows that perhaps the APC also understands the issues affecting Anambra people, the issues affecting development, the issues affecting unsettling the peace in Anambra State. And you must give it to him. He has spoken very well. But then again, I'm beginning to think that I'm listening to the usual Nigerian politician who will speak so eloquently, who will speak so well, who will talk about all of our issues and perhaps proffer solutions to those challenges. But then again is to say that politicians will always sound like this. They will always sound very well. They will always sound so passionate about the challenges of the society. But then we understand that pre-election environment is different from post-election environment. We have seen situations where we have voted in these politicians on the basis of the way Ambassador Ogokwe has spoken to us this morning. And when they get into office, you begin to see the other side of these politicians. And so no doubt, yes, the Ambassador Ogokwe has spoken to the issues, but then the key issue remains. Will they live through to these points that they have raised? But then again, important to say that...
Isn't that, sorry to jump in,
yes.
Dr. Areke, isn't also that a concomitant responsibility of civil society and citizens in general? To say, we gave you this mandate, you are deviating, you are drifting, it isn't just your business, it is our collective business. And then get you back into your lane.
Exactly. The civil society has been doing that. Citizens have also been doing that. Citizens have always reminded elected officials about promises they made prior to assumption of offices. But then Nigerian politicians understand Nigerians very well. One is that Nigerian politicians have always deployed the tool of hunger and poverty, to continue to make the people dance to their tunes and dictates. And so if you impoverish the people, there is no gainsaying the fact that poverty is a main issue, is a key issue in Nigeria, and it is a key political tool, because you will find out that on November 6th, you will find out that most of the political parties will deploy a lot of resources to buy votes. And you will see citizens who are suffering, who are suffering the brunt of poverty. They will collect these monies and vote for the candidates who have paid them to vote for them. And so, because citizens want to survive, and so hunger and poverty have always been deployed as a political tool. And so, even when we remind them of the promises they made before elections, I think they understand Nigerians maybe better than we do. But then the point I was going to make is that while Dr. Ambassador Ugokwe spoke so well about unlocking the potentials of Anambra State, I want to believe, maybe in fairness to him, because we do not have so much time on this program, it isn't enough just to identify these Anambra daughters and sons who are outside Anambra State. But then there are certain things that are hindering them from investing in the state. Beyond giving them lands, there are issues of course, everybody talks about insecurity. There are issues of infrastructural development. There are issues of good governance, and there are issues of accommodation within the state. And so I want to believe that Anambra requires, infrastructure. Anambra requires good governance to unlock these potentials that everybody keeps talking about. And so just beyond, allocating lands, beyond identifying the citizens who are outside Anambra State, I think there are other key issues that are keeping them away from the state. But that is not to say that some of them are not within the state, because we know that, for instance, Innocent Motors is there in Nnewi, and they are producing against all odds. And you can imagine what would happen. You can imagine the kind of industries and investments you would attract to Anambra State if the basic things that will support economic activities are put in place in that state. And so the issues go beyond just identifying these citizens, but also making the environment conducive for economic and business activities to thrive. It will border on security. It will also border on infrastructure and good governance. Really.
Well, thanks a lot. I just want to bring in Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe to respond to aspects of what Dr. Ereke has mentioned. But in inviting you again, Ambassador Ugokwe, just tell us something, because when outsiders are looking into Anambra, there is a certain reverence with which the state is held. One, I mean, Anambra produced the great Zik of, I'm sorry, we understand that Zoom has gone up. Is Cynthia still there? Yeah, all right, Cynthia, we understand that your link is fine. So back to you, Cynthia. Tell us, what are your concerns, if any, about Saturday's election?
Thank you. Well, before I respond to the concerns, I think Dr. Ennis made an important point on the need for the candidates to actually be certain on what they want to do for Anambra State, because what we've heard so far is the usual conversations, and we're not getting the the strategies. And I think a lot of voters want to choose candidates who would tell them the how. How would you achieve all these things you have laid out as your plan, which is one of the things that is lacking. Anambra has the potential to be is a commercial hub in itself, and it has a huge potential to be an economic powerhouse within the country and even within the region. However, that potential is still not achieved so far. So the candidates are yet to actually clearly let us understand how they would transform the state. And I hope that in the next couple of days, that will be what we'll be listening, or what the voters will be hearing from the candidates. Now, the fears for me, the major fear is just getting the voters to turn out to vote. If you know, Anambra has a history of low turnout. In 2017, it was 21% turnout. over 2021, we have over 2 million registered voters. Now, I'm worried that we may not have high turnout of voters if you look at the security worries or threat in the state. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of hours, that the political parties, because parties have a lot of role to play in getting voters to come out, that they invest in mobilizing the voters to come out to vote. We can no longer have elections where turnout is barely 20% or less than 25%. If the parties can commit to invest in getting the voters to turn out, I think we would have an elections where we would have better turnout of voters. And Anambra deserves a governor that is elected by a large percentage of the registered voters. So I'm hoping that this time around, we would have a better turnout of voters, but it's dependent on the role of the candidates. And I'll put it on it, not just the security, because security's role is to secure the system, secure the environment. But if the candidates themselves do not invest in mobilizing the voters, if they just focus in campaign of calumny and not investing in getting the voters to come out to vote, then all we're doing is just having an elections where a lot of resources are invested in, and then just a very minute percentage of the population, registered voters, will be coming out to vote. So that for me is a major fear. The next hours to the elections, or barely 48 hours to the elections, will determine how that would play out. But largely, security is key in the state, and we're hoping that citizens will be confident enough to come out and vote on election day.
Just tell us, Cynthia, we know that security is uppermost, and oftentimes it's a complex issue. Some apologists will say that, ultimately, a state governor is handicapped in dealing with that. There has to be collaboration with the federal authorities and so on and so forth to be able to get on top of security situations. And then in the case of the Southeast, and this time Anambra, the politics is all tied up to it. It's claims of marginalization and so on and so forth. But for the voters, what is it that you have picked up as perhaps the issues that they would vote on? Is it just an election that they are looking at personalities? Is it an election in which they are looking at core issues? Or is it an election that they are looking at sentiments? Because there is a claim that the people of the Southeast, and in this case Anambra, are sentimentally attached to certain individuals or certain political tendency.
Well, it's a mixture of several factors. And I think first, there is that political culture within the state where already there's that belief that the state is not doing enough for the people. So when I say the state, that government has not really been doing enough for the people. So the people feel disconnected from governance and the state institutions. There's no incentive to participate, which is one of the things we're seeing, that for some of the voters you engage, they will tell you that the government is not giving me anything. So what am I benefiting from voting if I wouldn't have any long-term or I wouldn't feel the long-term impact of governance or in my life or in the life of my family. So that is a huge, a major problem where the people already feel that they are providing all that they need, all their amenities for themselves. So they don't see the need for government because they don't think government is doing that. Now, how do you change that narrative? It's the fact that for the people of Anambra, there is this sense of marginalization and exclusion. And I think one of the things that they are looking out for is a voice that would speak for the people and would represent the people within the conversation at the national level, not just at the sub-regional level, that's within the states or within the southeastern region, but at the national level. So that conversation around who would be the voice of the people that would represent our interest, I think that is really key for the people of Anambra State. The second issue, just talking with young people, because we Young Africa have a bias for young people, is the conversation around unemployment. So there's huge unemployment in the state. So while you have a lot of young people going into business, they will tell you that unemployment is a major issue for them. And if they have the party that can guarantee the people that they would provide or rather create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, but also for better job opportunities for young people, then that would be a major, and that would be a party that they will be supporting. So issues around unemployment is key. But beyond the unemployment is that enabling environment to do business. So as simple as construction of roads. So if you think about a state that supposedly is a commercial hub, but movement, transportation within the state is a major challenge, not just within the states, but even transportation within the southeastern region is a major challenge. You see, it affects how businesses run, and that in itself is an impediment to young businesses who in the state and within the southeastern region. So also issues around ensuring that that there's better road network access within the state. And I don't think a lot of these candidates actually identify this. There's a lot of focus on security. And yes, security is a major challenge, but it's beyond just security because there are enabling factors that makes it easy for enemies of the state to recruit people into movement. Now, when you have issues you're fighting, especially ideological fight and wars, it's beyond that. There's a reason someone would tell people you can take the arm against the state, and they would easily want to go into that. So if you create a system where the people do not think government is working for them, it is easy for people to pray and to manipulate that disaffection with the government to create a situation that creates insecurity. So insecurity within the region, there is an underlying factor, and it's not just an issue that should be discussed or treated as a singular issue. What are the reasons for that? Why do the people think that? Why do people even feel some level of sentiment, within some of the agitations in the region? And I think that those are the kinds of conversations that the candidates should be having in the next couple of hours. And whoever gets into office would really need to do a lot of work to build that trust, to continue that engagement with the people, but one, being the voice of the people, listening to the people to understand the agitation and speaking for the people. But it is beyond just security because they are.
All right. Cynthia, thank you very much. We are getting to the end of this segment of our conversation. We earlier advertised that we have a second topic to deal with. But back to Dr. Ernest Oreke. Ernest Oreke, 48 hours time, we expect the voters to start coming out. Despite, I don't want to be cynical, but from our experience, despite the best efforts by the security agencies, there will still be a few hotheads.
Sure.
A few hotheads.
Yes.
They may have been mobilized much earlier, and to justify their pay, there will still be, there might still be a few skirmishes here and there, but ultimately that shouldn't be a dampener, as it were, on the conduct and then outcome of the elections. What would be your wishes for Anambra people?
Well, my wish and my prayers is that the election will be conducted, people will turn out, and it should be peaceful. And ultimately, the will of the people should prevail on Saturday. Whoever the people have chosen should be declared as the winner of that election. And I will also I will lend my voice to encourage citizens in Anambra State to take up this opportunity, afforded to them to elect somebody who will turn around the fortunes of the state for the next 4 years. I always say that in that ballot that we will be casting on Saturday, there is road there is life there is healthcare, there is education, and job opportunities are there. It is a sacred responsibility and a sacred duty on the part of citizens. And if they use it wrongly on Saturday, they are inviting bad governance, they are voting for bad roads, they are voting for insecurity, they are voting for unemployment if they use it wrongly on Saturday. But if they use it rightly on Saturday, they are enthroning good governance in the state. They are enthroning peace, and they are enthroning job opportunities in the state, and every other thing that will come with good governance. And so it is a sacred responsibility and a sacred duty that they must take up seriously. Yes, there is the issue of insecurity, But then the security agencies have assured, and INEC has also assured us that they are equally prepared for the election. So we would only pray and hope that it will go on successfully and peacefully on Saturday in Anambra State.
Yeah, well, Dr. Ernest Ereke, thank you very much there for that admonition to the voters and other stakeholders in Anambra as they come out on Saturday to vote for the next governor of the state. Ernest Ereke, Department of Political Science, University of Abuja, we appreciate you for being with us on the program today.
My pleasure.
Also, we would like to thank Cynthia Umbamalu. She is Program Director of Yaga Africa. Cynthia, thanks a lot for your insights. Stay safe and be well. And of course, we'll see you on the other side after the voting and the outcome. Cynthia, delight having you on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And then Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, who is of the Andy Uba Campaign Council. We, of course, were having your signals were coming off and on. Would have given you the opportunity to give us your closing thoughts. If you are there now, you might as well do that for some seconds. But if you're not, we would like to thank you very much for your contributions to our discussion this morning, and to wish you and the other candidates the very best on Saturday. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, two-term member of the House of Reps and Nigeria's former ambassador to Austria with concurrent accreditation to Slovakia. Ambassador Ugokwe stood in for the APC candidate, Senator Andy Uba. All right. Well, you're just coming in at the last minute. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, are you sneaking in now to say your goodbye?
Well, I'm sorry, because as you know, I'm way back in the village trying to get our people to come out and vote on Saturday. So internet has been a challenge. So forgive me for that. For me, what I want to say in response to all that has been said is one, I want to thank you for the opportunity you have given me to express our desire to change Anambra for good. Now, I know my colleagues talked about the House. As you know, we do not have all the time in the world to do all the House, but the important thing is that we're going to create the right environment. And in creating those environments, you would also not just need people in Anambra or need the government of Anambra State. We are going to need the federal government. We're going to need the National Assembly. And that is why I said that we are going to work in collaboration and in cooperation with all members in the National Assembly, with all our members in the
Ambassador
cabinet,
Jerry Ugokwe,
to make sure that Anambra is provided for. All I'm saying in closure is that I encourage the people of Anambra State to come out on Saturday en masse. The security is there. We have gone this route before, except for the insecurity that has pervaded the situation. Go out and vote for APC. When you vote for APC, you're voting for Senator Andy Uba, and you are voting for a change for the better and for the best indeed for Anambra State, because Igwebike, we are going to do that together. We are not going to leave him to be governor alone and an emperor. He is not one of those. He has committed to working as a team, with everybody across the divide. And as soon as that is done, I will invite most of you back in about 2-3 years, and you will agree with me that Anambra will never be the same again.
Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, thank you very much for your optimism. Best of luck to you, your candidates, and to the others. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so that's it for our first topic. We're going to take a short break now. When we return, we'll be looking at some aspects